Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. It is August 22nd, where the hell did 2025 go? I mean, I was just thinking about that the other day. We're in August already. It's football season. Oh, my God, it's amazing how quickly this year has gone by. Listen, if you're going to show up this early to not only contribute with a $10 super chat and also a comment more than 10 minutes before the show, we're shouting you out before anything else. Our guy, David Terry, DT, he'll be in the DR next week. He'll try and listen from over there with a drink in hand. DT, bro, you take more vacations than anybody I know. My God, I got to get on David Terry's schedule. But listen, you are definitely on one of our big time groups as far as like most dedicated followers, listeners, viewers here on the Recher podcast. So let's clap it up for our guy, David Terry. Thank you so much again for the super chat. Enjoy your vacation, my friend. If you want to contribute via the super chat, listen, that's how we're going to keep this podcast rolling, man. The super chats and also our sponsor right here. You see it, our guy, Honest Hammer, Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. I love you all. Thank you so much for the support. You know, Benny's here every day, too. I don't know if Benny's missed the show. He's been there every single day. Our guy, Dolan, as well. Happy Friday, Jane. I was watching some old videos, and I was looking at something from our friend Lyndon Blake and the discussion we were having about Taylor Swift, and I was thinking about how our guy Dolan is the biggest Taylor Swift fan known to man. So next time she's in town, we should probably get a GoFundMe together because the biggest Swiftie I know, our guy Dolan, he would definitely love to go. Jeff Taylor, happy Friday, y'all. You were another guy I was thinking about yesterday. JT, another JT, DT, DG, we got them all. We're getting closer and closer to having T-shirts for the Recher podcast. I said we were looking into doing something as far as getting kind of a like a slogan on the front and then the Recher podcast on the back. I'm getting closer. I had a meeting with somebody the other day. I actually have another meeting tonight, so we're getting closer and closer to having some apparel, some merch for the Recher podcast. And if we do that, man, every single one of you got to get multiple shirts for me because it'll certainly help. I'm with you, pal. The Rays keep bleeding. If you blink twice, it'll already be Christmas. No doubt. Bart Hill, another day one. Appreciate you. Greg DeCruz, if you can listen in Costa Rica, you can in DR, 10 a.m. here. Carlos Paserva, LFG. Carlos, I hope you keep Parker Messick on your team. That is right. Got to support local. You got that right. I love you all. Thank you so much. Nathan Elliott, shouting it from the rooftops, baby. And, of course, Lady Evil, man. We have our main contributors here on the program. You guys are here every day. I can't thank you all enough. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your dentist, your doctor, let everybody know. Support local all day, every day. Listen, and again, $5. Thank you for the super chat. You are the best, Lady Evil. Follow me on socials, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. Big show today. Will the shirt say Tampa Bay Recher? No, but we're gonna do something like that. Again, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Jeff Taylor is my main motivation when it comes to T-shirts. He's been getting on me. Stay on me, Jeff Taylor. Do not let me, do not let me rest on my laurels and get complacent. Keep asking, brother. I'm gonna keep it going for it. I'm rocking my Tampa baseball shirt today. Got some really good news today when it came to UT baseball. We'll talk about that more in the next couple of weeks. And of course, the late great Tony Saladino, graduate of the University of Tampa. So I want to show some love to him. We lost him a couple of days ago at the age of 89 years old. If you missed any of those talks, it's up on our channel right here. And 813preps.com. My buddy Jared wrote a fantastic article about the life and legacy of Tony Saladino. We're going to talk some Rays today. We're going to talk some Bucks today. And then we're also going to talk a little bit of a shorter show today. But at 1 o'clock, I'm going to tell you what to watch this weekend. People have always asked me, what do you watch? What do you watch on the weekends? And my answer is usually everything. Great Tony Mayberry is always making fun of me. You don't have money on these games? I'm like, no, I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes to trying to watch as much as humanly possible. But there's a lot to get into. So at 1 o'clock today, I'm going to give you games, college football, hockey, wrestling, golf. There's just a little bit of everything. So I'll talk about that a little bit later at 1 o'clock today. One of the best and the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneers of all time is going to join us at 12:30 today. The great Martin Gramatica. He's one of the top 50 Buccaneers of all time. He's going to join us on the program. I cannot wait to talk to Martin. He's got a lot of great stuff going on with Clearview Imaging as well. But and then, of course, Nico, his son, USF starts next Thursday against Boise State, 5:30 at Raymond James Stadium. I hope to see you there. But yeah, Martin, we're going to ask him about what it means, at a franchise, 50 years in the running now. What is it like for him? How does he feel to be one of the top 50 of all time? Greg DeCruz, are you going to be watching UFC at 6 a.m. tomorrow? Depends on how early I get up. But I never want to say no. I never want to say no. I'm definitely going to give it a look. I mean, you're looking at an incredible, it's weird to say fight night, right? But it's all the way in China. The main card starts at 6. The prelim. So it's pretty wild. And the headline is Yang Ming Yang against Johnny Walker. You know who looked jacked up? We'll talk about it later. But who looked really jacked up when they were doing the weigh-in yesterday was Brian Ortega. Man, former featherweight title contender. And he goes against Aljamain Sterling. This is a big, and it's a catchweight now. But Ortega, you want to talk about fighters that look bad during the weigh-ins? I don't know if I've seen many people that look worse than Brian Ortega. It was, rough, dude. Absolutely rough. All right, Buccaneers preseason finale tomorrow night, Raymond James Stadium. I'll be in the building. Couldn't go to the last one because I had some obligations for baseball, but I'll be there tomorrow night. And if you missed what we spoke about yesterday, from the Advent Health Training Center at One Buccaneer Place, Todd Bowles said no starters. Rashad White ain't playing. Kyle Trask will probably start. So you'll see, I'm sure, Kyle and Teddy. And I ask you, who are some of the players that you are going to be watching for tomorrow night? Feel free. If you guys want to call in and join in on the conversation, you are always welcome. There is the link right there in the chat, StreamYard.com/7P7BWR355R. Again, click on that link right in the chat, whether you're on the phone, whether you're on your laptop, you can always join in video side, or leave your questions, comments, concerns there right at the bottom of the screen or right on the side of the screen there. Which Buccaneers player are you looking for tomorrow night? And I'm going to start right at the quarterback spot. It's Teddy Bridgewater and it's Kyle Trask. And I thought it was very interesting. We had this conversation with Scott Reynolds yesterday. And you're looking at all of the different things when it comes to the quarterback position. And we started this week on Monday with our guy Ian Beckel saying the Bucs just don't trust Kyle Trask. And then we get yesterday where Scott Reynolds said, right, let's say Baker gets banged up in the middle of a game and they need somebody to kind of see it through to the end. Kyle would be that guy. But if you needed somebody to step in for 2 or 3 games, they'd probably go with Teddy Bridgewater because of the experience. That's tough. That's tough where you're looking at Baker Mayfield and you're looking at that quarterback position. And we hope that it's a moot point, that we're not going to worry about it at all. But regardless of whether Ian's more right or whether Scott has a point, all that stuff is kind of opinion, right? Because we don't, that's just, it could be an opinion that is based in a lot of truths, right? We get that. But regardless of what you feel about the quarterback situation, the fact of the matter is that the Buccaneers felt like Kyle Trask wasn't enough. For whatever reason, you could say one thing, they could say one thing, I could say one thing, right? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But the fact that they've had Kyle Trask here for as long as they've had, and it wasn't good enough, and it didn't give them enough comfort to go into the regular season with him as the only guy, as that sounding board for Baker Mayfield, that tells you something. It tells you something, because you don't go out and go get a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. Because it's not, I don't think it's the fact that it was just a backup quarterback. I think a lot of it had to do with it being Teddy himself. They probably wanted to bring in a veteran, but if you're going to quote unquote upset the apple cart a little bit, you're going to bring in a guy like, you're going to get a good return on, regardless if he plays or not. And this kind of goes back to when this whole thing started with the quarterback spot and there was choices, and why I thought the Buccaneers originally should have went with Jacoby Brissett. I thought they should have went with Jacoby Brissett because I had I thought, all right, Jacoby Brissett can go in there. You can get a legitimate battle with Kyle Trask, and whatever happens, either Jacoby wins the job and he holds it down for a little bit and then Kyle takes over, right? Jacoby wins the job, Kyle never gets it, and then you draft a quarterback and you really turn the page. Or Kyle beats Jacoby and he's the backup, and Brissett's been the backup in this league. He knows what it entails, and he's going to be a good soldier and do whatever it takes to make sure that the Buccaneers are in a good – he's not going to take anything away from your team. That's not the direction the Buccaneers went. They went with Baker Mayfield. They had it in their mind that putting him here, resurrecting his career, putting him in a position to succeed was going to be the thing that was going to, pan out. And it did. Home run. I mean, what a great decision from Todd Bowles and Jason Light. Obviously, we look at what Baker can do now, but I think that some of those traits that I was looking at for Jacoby Brissett, I think that's what they were thinking when they bring in a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. They're like, hey, he's not going to come in here and he's not going to have a lot of drama. He's going to go. You heard it yesterday. We were talking to Bucky Irving 2 days ago, and he was speaking about the impact of Teddy Bridgewater and how he comes in and he talks to everybody and just rave reviews from the veteran quarterback in the league. So you bring a guy like that in, there's no negative. If he doesn't play at all, fine. Like, he's one of those people where just his mere presence makes your team better because he's a great guy. He's a veteran. It makes a lot of sense, but it also tells you like you're not getting that from Kyle Trask. So I'm keeping an eye on both of those guys. That is for sure. Remember, no starters. So we're not looking at Luke Gedeke or Charlie Heck or any of those guys. Next one up is Chris Braswell for me. Chris Braswell, much better in game 2 against the Pittsburgh Steelers than we saw in game 1 against the Tennessee Titans. And this is a guy, especially with David Walker out, you're a little thinner there on the outside, and you're banking for Chris Braswell and Anthony Nelson to really pick up that slack as that second group of outside linebackers that are going to go in after Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby. So you saw improvement there. You're going to have to see incremental steps forward. It's not always just about getting the sack. It's about getting the pressures. It's about being noticeable. And as much as we want to talk about offensive linemen, if you notice them, probably not a good thing. Pass rusher, I think, is the opposite. It's like you got to notice them. You got to notice that they're causing havoc. And Chris Braswell taking a step forward in game 2, you need to see even more progress in game 3 against the Buffalo Bills. Bart Hill saying Jacob Parrish. I think when you look into the Parrish, I don't know how much we're going to see, but I think he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be your starter at nickel, and then especially with some injuries that they've had to deal with in the secondary, I don't know if you really want to risk it, which is kind of crazy when you think about the rookie and how they've had so much faith in this kid from the beginning. Next guy up is Antonio Greer, former USF Bull, and if you listen to the conversation that we had with Scott Reynolds yesterday from Pewter Report, and again, great chat with Larry Foote last night, Scott was saying that with some of the play that we've seen from some of these other undrafted free agent linebackers, he's a guy that needed to come up and make some plays. And he did. He came away with the interception. And we saw that all the way back to his USF days where Antonio Greer was always that guy in the right spot. When you needed somebody to make a big play, he was there. And listen, this is why early on in the season, I don't want to say you take everything like seriously, because I think there's certain things that you kind of take with a grain of salt. But I got to be honest with you, man. Like, he was very high on that in the off-ball linebackers, and I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know, because it was a black hole last year. But you look at it, and you got obviously Levante. They have a lot of faith in Servassier Dennis. Deion Jones is a veteran that really is fit in well. Anthony Walker we haven't seen, but you look at what Nick Jackson's been able to do, what John Bullock's been able to do, and then what Antonio Greer's been able to do. I mean, you got 3 guys there where you look at it and you go, fuck, man, these guys can ball. These guys can play. And one of the big things about the Bucks that really hurt them, and you saw it more in the Atlanta games than anywhere else, is you saw that once they had to go to those second and third stringers, there was a precipitous drop-off. It just wasn't the same. I don't feel like we're seeing that same thing this year. We didn't have these conversations last year at this time going, watch out for this guy, watch out for this guy. Man, they're really pushing the starters. That's what good teams do. So, yeah, he's in there for me. Carlos Becerra, Trey Palmer, and Tej Johnson. I love that. Thank you, Carlos. Fantastic answer right there from you. We heard Tej speak yesterday. The wide receivers are going to have to step up with Jalen McMillan and with Chris Godwin out. And that starts tomorrow because you got to think. Teddy and Kyle and Connor, they need somebody to pass to. We know Mike's not playing. Emeka Ibuka, I would be very surprised if he was playing. So you're going to see a steady diet of Trey Palmer and Tej Johnson and Ryan Miller and, Green. I mean, those guys, Rakim Jarrett, like go out there and make plays. That's going to be the most important thing for those guys. Make it difficult for the coaches to cut you. And Trey Palmer, I've noticed the last couple of days in practice has really kind of stepped his game up. And I think, and again, I mentioned this yesterday, you're seeing Tej Johnson get the ball more in practice. I was going to ask him that. They're not going to admit that. They're not going to show their hand or anything like that. He's going to be a guy that's going to be on the outside, and he's going to be a mismatch because he can really run. But he's got to know the playbook, right? So that's Todd Bowles said as much a couple days ago. But yeah, this is the time, especially for a guy like Trey Palmer. He's almost the forgotten man in the wide receiver room. And last year we were wondering who's going to be wide receiver 3. We knew it was Evans. We knew it was Godwin. They drafted Jalen McMillan. Was it Jalen McMillan or Trey Palmer? Jalen McMillan kind of ran away with the job because he was better and better as the year went on after a slow start. And Trey Palmer was kind of like left in the dust a little bit. But with this Buccaneers team, they don't write anybody off. You're going to get opportunities to be able to show your worth. And Trey Palmer's going to get that. And it starts tomorrow night. Why not Trey Palmer? After being banged up and really not seeing much action, if he can get out there and be a factor, I'd like it. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world. Because Trey did do some good things the last couple of years to the Bucs. Now we just got to see it a little bit more consistent, even if it's in short time. Dolan, it'd be really nice if Palmer could get it together and actually be able to produce and stop dropping the ball. Yeah, I just want to see him out there on the field. That's the thing. Most important ability is availability, and he hasn't shown that much here recently. Also in the backfield, Bryce Hall and Kendall Vildor. I was a little surprised that Scott said that yesterday. I thought Bryce Hall would be an automatic he's in, but you look at the versatility with those backs. Parrish is going to be in there. You know that McCollum's going to be there and Jamel Dean and Benjamin Morrison. I mean, look right there, right? Kendall Vildor coming up with the pick. He's a guy that can play some safety too. Bryce Hall, as much as it would be great to have him back there, you have to be cognizant of like just the injuries and not being 100% last year after getting injured in game 1. So, yeah, that's another battle for those veteran secondary players. And I asked Todd Bowles, about some of the decisions and what goes into that kind of thought process. And he looked at the entire thing and he said, I'm going to take what I learned in games. I'm going to take what I learned in practice and also the versatility towards the bottom end of the roster. And I wasn't going to say bottom end of the roster, but he said it. And I was like, okay, that's exactly what I was trying to get at. So yeah, spot on right there from Todd. And then lastly is Shiloh Sanders. For as much as people, it's such a polarizing topic. I posted something yesterday with Shiloh, or not yesterday, a couple days ago with Shiloh and Dez, and somebody was like, why am I seeing this on my timeline, bro? Leave Dez alone. I'm like, he's out there, buddy. He's out there, and if he's out there during a recording period, sorry, it is what it is. And if there's anybody out there, if you remember early on, who was the first person to take a video of Dez Watson at training camp when he was walking around the field barefoot, yeah, go check your sheet. It was me. And it got hundreds of thousands of views. And what did I say on there? I hope he figures it out. I hope he finds a way to get that weight under control for himself as a human being and then be a contributing member of the Buccaneers. If you missed our chat with Scott Carter, it's going to go up a little bit later on today. And we spoke about the issues with his weight and the concerns that I think a lot of people have that if he's not around a football team where they're watching his weight and he's always outside and he's always do something, he's moving. I mean, how bad could it get? He's got to change his mindset Forget about saving your football career to save your life. But speaking of Shiloh Sanders, when I look at Shiloh, there's going to be a lot of people that are talking about him. And you see a lot of reports that, oh, he's doing this and he's doing that. Listen, the concerns that people had about Shiloh Sanders going into this preseason when it came to on the field football stuff, it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. He's a guy that is athletic. He's a guy that can make plays, but he's a guy that really struggles tackling in the open field because he's always going for that big hit. He's like a Scud missile, like going, and he's trying to do some damage, but a lot of times he takes himself out of the play. That's not hating. That's what people saw on tape before the season, right? And now we've seen that a couple of times. 3 or 4 tackles that he's missed already through 2 preseason games, and we've seen it a couple of times during training camp. I've noticed a couple of times he's either doing something like he's got to find that balance because there's times where he's just kind of sitting back and not really getting into the play because he's worried about making a mistake. Now, everything off the field, the way he treats the fans, exemplary, awesome. Couldn't be better from what we've seen on our side. But man, some of the concerns, again, going into the preseason with Shiloh Sanders, it's the same thing. So he has to make an adjustment, and he's got to make an adjustment in the way of like breaking down and tackling guys. It's almost like a Devin White thing where you're just flying past people on tape. Can't do that, man. You got to be controlled. There's got to be a controlled chaos when it comes to Shiloh Sanders, or, he's really going to be an option for the practice squad and nothing much else. All right, more Buccaneers talk, more football talk at about 12:30. Our guy Martin Gramatica will join the show. The Tampa Bay Rays. Let's get into it. Last night was one of those games where it was one of the microcosms of the entire year. The Rays now 6 games under 500. Last night was just not one of those games you want to show your kids where the Rays lose 7-4. They commit a couple of errors. It was just ugly all the way around. It really was. And for all the talk about, and you guys know, if there's anything I err on, it's usually on positivity and optimism. But when I watch this Rays team, I have not been fooled all year long. I have not thought one time, wow, this is a team that's really going to be a playoff team, even in the midst of that incredible streak they had, because it was a streak. It was the aberration. It was the exception, not the rule. I said, okay, good. Can they go on another one? Can they keep the momentum going? They just didn't do enough things throughout the season to really show you that they're a legitimate playoff contender. And now I think there are very few people, if any, that believe that they can find, dig down deep and be able to go on a run here to make the playoffs. I truly believe their season is over. But there were a lot of telltale signs, and I got 9 of them here, that this was not going to be their year. Number 1 is the injury to Shane McClanahan and the trickle-down effect from that. Shane, again, I remember speaking to him a couple of years ago with the Tampa Bay Sun thing downtown in Ybor. And he's like, tell everybody I'm coming back in 2023 or 2024. He never did. He was so excited. And then to come back this year and then what he was dealing with, and he never pitched. He's not going to pitch this year. I don't know that for a fact, but there's no point. There's no point to bring him back. So now the guy that started for the American League in the All-Star game in LA a couple of years ago, you haven't seen him for 2 years. That's tough, man. It's tough, and it's just a bad precedent to set. And again, it's nobody's fault, but you start putting guys in positions that they're just not used to, right? Pepio starts open day, and then it just kind of throws off the entire thing. And Ryan's been battling all year long. I give him all the credit in the world, but when you have a guy like Shane McClanahan, you're banking on him being your ace, and you don't see him at all, that's not good. Number 2, the slow start from Yandy Diaz. And I know he's picked it up, but again, we have another year where Yandy Diaz struggles out of the gates. And it's just, we talked about that early on this year with the Rays, knowing that they had such a front-loaded schedule at home. At Steinbrenner Field. More on that in a second. And you needed your star players to be able to get out of the gates fast. And he just did not do it. Second year in a row. It was him and Randy Arozarena last year. He did it again this year. And again, when it's all said and done, you look at his numbers and go, hey, another solid year from Yandy Diaz. But those slow starts coinciding with everything else that was happening, it certainly did not help. Number 3, the unfamiliarity with the stadium. And it just they've shown that it's been tough for them to be able to adjust to the balls flying out of the yard. More on that in a second. Them, changing everything. And we've heard this from whether it was some of the TV and radio broadcasters, whether it was assistant hitting coach Brady North. Like they had to change a lot of different things. Their routines that they've gotten used to, working out and playing at Tropicana Field. And shout out, it looks like the first of 24 roof panels is being installed this week. Great sign from there in Tropicana Field, but just the unfamiliarity just really screwed him up. Number 4, the inconsistent bullpen. I believe that all good teams, you have to have some semblance of an idea of what 7, 8, and 9 are going to look like. If you have 2 closers, you have none. If you continuously play the matchup game, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when you have a consistent 3 or 4 guys that you go to in the back end, and they perform at a high level, I mean, that's what you want. But with Pete Fairbanks, you know what he can bring. Now you got Griffin Jack, so you figured it out a little bit. But this bullpen, for years, there's always a guy that, we saw Edwin Uceta being that guy last year. It wasn't that usual shutdown self. Remember Kevin Cash, we got a whole stable of guys that throw 98. It's not one of those things where it's automatic, like that's the strength of this team. And for years, the strength was the identities, the pitching and the defense, and it hasn't been there. Number 5, the inability to keep the ball in the yard. I've been saying this for weeks. And again, I don't know why people don't bring it up more, but when you're giving up home runs left and right and no better indication than what we saw in the 2 games against the Yankees, you can't win. And it's not just at home. It's on the road, too. Just too many home runs, whether it's Pepio, whether it was Littell, who's now with the Reds, or with Shane Baz. A lack of adjustment there from Kyle Snyder in the pitching was very, very surprising to me. Number 6, Ha-Seong Kim, the delayed return and coinciding with Taylor Walls being Taylor Walls. Like, Ha-Seong Kim's going to go down as one of the worst free agent signings I think the Rays have ever made. It's not been good at all. Injuries, and even when he's in there, I'm not impressed. I mean, I'm not looking at that guy like, wow, he was worth the wait. And Taylor Walls is Taylor Walls, a platinum glove defender, but his bat leaves so much to be desired. And he got so many opportunities and big moments. Sometimes he came through, but the majority of the time he didn't. Great guy, again, a great glove. But if that's your everyday shortstop and he's batting around 200, like you just can't do that. You can't do it. Number 7, Chandler Simpson getting sent down, I thought was huge. Everybody, and they try to justify it, and these people just look at it and they go, oh, yeah, trust the Rays and trust the decisions that they make, and he's going to go down and he's going to learn center field. Remember that? Do you remember that? They're going to send him down so he can learn center field. Where's Chandler Simpson playing now? He's playing left field. He wasn't ever going to be a center fielder. He's a left fielder. He's a slap hitter. He's going to bat first or ninth. He's not going to be a center fielder. Why did you send him down? It just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. It was such a gut punch in the middle of the season. Taj and Baz not taking that next step. I mentioned a little bit before of, Shane Baz and the home runs he's given up, and then Taj Bradley getting traded for Griffin Jackson. I mean, it's just, I can't believe they would trade a 24-year-old starter like that. That was your guy, and you end up trading him for a guy that's going to pitch 1 inning. That's why I truly believe Griffin Jackson will be a starter next year. And then to me, Josh Lowe not living up to expectations again. Everybody always wants to talk about Josh Lowe and if he stays healthy, and you look back at this 1 year and blah, blah, like you can't do that. You can't look at 1 year and say that's who that guy is, because the farther and farther you get away from that 1 year, you got to look at the other years and realize that that's the true player. He can't stay healthy. And when he comes back from injury, he doesn't look like himself. He needs like this perfect slate. Everything needs to be perfect for him. And for a team that prides itself on versatility and guys being able to make the best of a bad situation, like Josh Lowe's not that guy. Now, when you watch him swing too, he takes the top hand off of the bat way too early. He's scared because he can't get his bat through the zone. I mean, it's not good, man. It is not good. Josh Lowe has been in a huge disappointment for the Tampa Bay Rays. Number 10, Christopher Morel. Just the fact that this dude is still on the team. Come on, man. Come on. When you look at this team and you look at what they need, Christopher Morel looks like one of those Rays players. Remember that year? It's probably like 7-8 years ago when the Rays were like, screw everything else. We're just gonna hit the long ball, and then they hit more like solo home runs than everybody else. Christopher Morel should have been on that team, the hit show. And look at Adam. Yep, the catcher was sitting right there. Could have got him. The kid out of Coastal, and they go another high school shortstop. I just don't know. I don't understand. They keep drafting these high school shortstops and then thinking that they can move them to other spots, and I understand because they're your top athletes. But I'd love to see the Rays put a couple of draft picks into a couple of stud catchers, and then maybe they can get a guy for the next 10, 15 years that can be your backstop to not only be able to work with your pitchers, but to be able to swing it a little bit. You saw that the Orioles just gave a contract, 7-8 year deal to a catcher, and it wasn't Adley Rutschman. That's pretty crazy, man. They got two, and the Rays got none. All right, let's bring him in. One of the greatest Buccaneers of all time. Tampa Bay Buccaneers legend, our pal Martin Gramatica. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. Trying to set up here. Sorry, I was running a little late today. How are you?
You're good, pal. I'm fantastic, man. We're making Yeah, you look great. You look great, my friend. And the weather's been a little crazy today. I think everybody is kind of a little off kilter.
I'm in the villages, so it's different. You know what's weird is like when it rains here, it's sunny in Tampa. When it's raining in Tampa. The other day, I'm sitting in the office, beautiful day, sunshine, and then I get a text message that the practice is closed for soccer. But that's in Tampa. So we must be having bad weather in Tampa. So
that's right. The other day, I was over at USF for practice at the indoor facility, and I'm like yelling. Nico couldn't hear me, and I'm yelling at him like Nico, and he's sitting there drilling field goals, and I'm like, he's locked in, baby. He's locked in. How excited is the Gramatica family for the season opener next Thursday?
Oh man, we can't wait. It's kind of like, you know, when you're a little kid and you can't wait for Christmas, just because he's worked so hard, he's put so much effort and energy into this, and just to get the reward of playing, we couldn't be happier. And on top of that, we love Coach Golish. We love everything they stand for, and that's why I feel like USF is definitely going in the right direction. So we're so thrilled and can't wait for them to get going. It's gonna be a tough start. Listen, that it's football. That's why like people are talking about, oh, they have the 3 tough games. I get it. There's gonna be 3 tough games, but if we want to get to where we want to get, you got to beat the best. And I'm glad that these guys aren't shying away from it, and they're embracing it and working their butts off to start on the right track.
Yeah, no doubt about it. How's G doing, man? Last year in high school.
G's good, man. G's good. G's ready to go. He started last week and had a 40 some yard field, so he's already on track. And then he plays tonight somewhere in Sarasota. So I'm just told where to go, when to get there, and I just.
What is that? Yeah, what is that like now? And then of course we got to ask you about the greatest athlete in your family, your daughter. What's that like with you and your wife, man? How is that? Is that group chat or the text message or the calendar at the Gramatica house? That must be wild. Going like, we got to be here. We got to be here. We got to be here. How the hell do you guys do that?
Well, it's become a little bit easier because the boys can, they're on their own. They can drive. So, but when they were all 3 playing at the same time, it was we had to divide, and I always, yeah, absolutely. I coached Nico for a while, and I coached Amy, and at one time I coached G as well. So it was difficult because we love being at our kids' events and sporting events. So we do everything humanly possible for both of us to be at everything. So there will be some Friday night games that I won't be able to go to Nico's because I help G on the sidelines at high school. And then some games I'm gone for the weekend with Emmy with soccer. So there's some that you miss. Nico's biggest kick of the year last year against Miami, I got to see it in a hotel room in Jacksonville. But I'm sitting there like grabbing the TV, like waiting to catch the ball, like I'm
Mhm.
shagging for him in practice. So yeah, so we woke everybody up. I mean, I woke everybody up at that night.
What was better, that play or the play at Alabama? Because Alabama, when he got that, when he picked up the fumble, I told you that. I think I texted you.
Yeah.
I'm yelling in the press box because there's like four. It's everybody from Alabama there in Tuscaloosa and four people from Tampa, and I'm like, Nico's got it, Nico's got it. And they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, Nico Gramatica picks up the ball. I was like, you couldn't cheer, but I was like fist pumping under the table. Like
That's the
that
best.
had to be cool to be able to see him play in Tuscaloosa, man. That's awesome.
Oh no, absolutely, and especially at picking up a fumble as a kicker. Sometimes as kickers, we value that play more than a kick because like
Right.
everybody says you got to be able to kick, and they don't expect us to be athletic. So when he picks up that fumble, now okay, he's showing the guys that he's an athlete.
Yeah, listen, they love him, no doubt about it. Man, I gotta be honest, man. I am so happy for you to be recognized as one of the top 50 Buccaneers of all time. No, coming in at number 49, right ahead of Rob Gronkowski, baby. I love it. But just what does that mean, Martine? I mean, listen, you're as great as you were as a player. I think you're one of those guys where your impact, even after your career, is just as, if not more impactful, because you're everywhere. You're in our community. I mean, I've seen you say hi to people and take pictures with people. And when they walk away, they're so freaking happy. You're just so good to people in our community. I'm so glad that you and I have become friends over the years. And what does that mean to be recognized, as one of the top 50 players in franchise history?
Well, when you look at the players that have played in this franchise and to be recognized like that, I mean, I was shocked to start, and then just honored, and thankful. I mean, the Glacier family trusting me with Coach Dungy to draft me to Tampa, bring me home to Florida because that's where I wanted to be. It means the world, especially with an organization that I'm so involved with. Doing the Spanish radio, being at every game, and for them to recognize me, I couldn't believe it. But I'm super thankful, and I mean, as a kicker, you don't ever think you can make those type of lists because you have such great athletes that make the list. So to be able to be recognized and then go, I mean, one above Gronk is a pretty cool thing to say. I was talking crap to my kids, because they always talk crap. So I said, yeah, at least I got Gronk on one thing, just one.
I love it. And when you see it, and you've been there for training camp and some preseason stuff too, like the Bucks are killing this, right? Like some teams will go out there and say, we're going to recognize 25 years, 50 years, 100 years. And they do a nice little thing here and they do a nice little thing here. But man, the season hasn't even started yet, Martine. And all the things they're doing with the videos and bringing the old players back. Like, I mean, I don't think they could have done any better. This is amazing, isn't it?
Oh no, we're just getting started, like you said. The season hasn't even started. I'm getting I've gotten so many messages. We have this event, that event, so my calendar's filling up on just events for the 50 year of the Bucks, which is great because I mean it's a great milestone for the franchise, and then to be with a team that has a chance, to have a competitive team your 50th year. It's going to be a lot of fun. It would be hard to celebrate 50 years when you have a losing team, but when you have got a team that has so much potential, it's going to make it even better.
And Martine, and like you just said it right there, there's something about this team. There really is, isn't it? And what is it like when you're on a team where it's like everybody's optimistic now, right? Everybody's happy. But when you're a team that's made the playoffs, you got some good players, you got like some great players on your team. What is that mindset like compared to some of the other years, knowing that like just making because everybody, they may think they, I want to make the playoffs, or I want to win the Super Bowl. But you and I know there's certain teams that just making the playoffs isn't good enough. And that's not going to be the mindset for the Bucks. What is it like that to know like, hey, we don't want to just make the playoffs. We want to go on a run.
Right. No, absolutely. And sometimes you have to trick yourself and say, okay, we make the playoffs. We can win the Super Bowl knowing that, okay, we may not have the talent or we may not have the, in this case, you look at every position, you have elite players at every position. I mean, and you started off with Baker. I mean, Baker's done a phenomenal job here, not only the way he's played on the field, but what he's done off the field, how he embraced Tampa, like, and Tampa now has embraced him. He's our guy. He's our quarterback. It's not like they're like, "Oh, you came after Brady," and we're still talking about Brady. No, we're talking about Baker. We're talking about what he's doing in the community. We're talking about how his teammates are playing for him, and he's the one that's taking the team on his shoulders. And obviously we have Mike Evans, Chris Gunn. We have great players, but the identity of this team, the grit, the fight, that comes, in my opinion, from Baker. When you have a quarterback that'll put his head down and run you over, that fourth down play last year when he stiff arming Bosa, I think it is. I mean, and gets the first down. That right there, in my opinion, that single play defines what Baker is, and that who doesn't want to play with a guy like that. So I feel like this year is the one, where obviously you make the playoffs, and then from there anything can happen. So that's the thing, the key, just get to the playoffs and then go on a run. But yeah, absolutely, this team is definitely built for more than just making the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. What about you as a kicker when you get to this point of the preseason, knowing that you're about a week or two away? It's a little bit different now because you have the week between the preseason, finale and then the, regular season game one. But you as a kicker, knowing that you're not worried about your spot, like what's Chase McLaughlin thinking about right now as we're, about 2 weeks away from game one?
Well, the first thing is, obviously staying sharp and peaking at the right moment, because in his case, he's not competing for a job. So now he's just working to be ready to go week one. And that's a big difference. And a lot of times coaches don't understand that. Like for me, when I was with the Bucks, I knew I was the guy. So I could always prepare to be ready for week one, not week one of the preseason. Now, when I had to compete for a job, I had to be ready to go week one of the preseason. And then at times, I was done with the preseason. Week one of the regular season starts, and I was mentally and physically exhausted because now I'm 32 competing with a 22-year-old. So then you start into the season not at your best. In this case, Chase was able to gradually get the kicks going, build his legs strength and leg stamina, because you don't want to over kick either, and you want to make sure you're sharp. So it's the best case scenario when you have a guy like Chase that the team trusts, that he's your guy, so that way he can prepare to be the best he can be at week one. So he'll be ready to go for week one.
Martina, I've had this conversation a lot with people because I had a very unique perspective of Todd Bowles. With half of my family being Jets fans up there in New York, I saw Todd with the Jets, and it didn't end well. It wasn't great. So it was a little bit of buyer beware for me when he was named the head coach. But I've seen a guy that's been in the league for decades grow and learn and change, and to be able to be no ego. Like, hey, if I got to bring in a guy to manage the clock, I'm going to do that. If I'm going to have to change my coordinators and get rid of some coaches that I've known for a long time, I'm going to do that. But there's still certain people around here in the Bay Area that still aren't completely sold. And, I think one of the big things people say is because, he doesn't have any fire. He doesn't have any passion. He's very stoic on the sidelines. And it's hard not to compare him to Tony Dungy, right? People say, they said the same thing about him, right? In the late 90s. Oh, he doesn't have enough fire. What is it like to have a coach like that where you may not see it on public, on TV, where it's like, right, fire, he's not throwing down his headset. But I always feel like we see with John Cooper and Kevin Cash, when you're even keel, when things go wrong and your team looks at you and you're not losing your mind, I think there's true strength in that. What do you make of Todd Bowles? How does that compare to what you saw with Tony Dungy?
Well, everybody's personality is different. We went from Tony Dungy, that's very Todd Bowl-like, to John Gruden, who's the total opposite, but they were both effective. We won a Super Bowl. We won. Tony Dungy won his Super Bowl with the Colts and was very successful in the league doing it his way. The thing is, when you're trying to be somebody that you're not. So if because of this criticism, Todd Bowles now becomes this nut job on the sideline and starts screaming and yelling, then it's not him and it's not going to work. It works for him because that's his demeanor, and guys can look at him and say, if he's not stressing, we should be fine. If he's feeling like it doesn't matter what's going on and he's still cool and collected, under control, then we're fine. But everything you hear is that's the way he is on game day. But when he needs to get on guys during the week, he's going to get on them. That's a big difference, because one difference is if he's always calm and collective and doesn't care, or not that doesn't care, just super relaxed, then guys could sometimes mistake that for a weakness. Now, when he's getting on you all week and then kind of lets you relax on game day, Dungy was the same way. He had coaches that did the pressure on during the week. You know, I had Joe Marciano. Marciano drove me nuts during the week. I mean, he made my week miserable. But then when we got to Sunday, he left me alone. So he prepared me for Sunday.
Right.
And I feel like that's what Todd Bowles is doing. He's preparing these guys for Sunday. So they work super hard. He's on them. The coaches are on him all week. And then during game day, everybody takes a step back. We know we're prepared. We know we're ready. And now let's play. So I think that's very effective. And then you have the other side. You have the Gruden side where he's crazy and animated all the time. And it works. So it's just, as long as that's the way you are and you're not changing the way you are because of what the media is saying or what people are saying, then it's going to be effective.
Yeah, no doubt about it. How would you deal with like the new rules with the kickoffs, being able to kind of drop those balls in there where you just can't? I mean, it did get a little monotonous over the last couple of years where the kickoff was just, they're just going to blast it through the end zone. Everybody runs out there for no reason. I do like that they adapted the rules so we get more kickoffs. What would you do? How would you feel about those new rules?
As a kicker, you probably like it because you're not wearing your leg out trying to kick the ball as hard as you can. You know, like my era, we had to kick from the 30 and with a brand new ball. So I had to use every ounce of my energy to get the ball to the goal line, you know, so that it was almost impossible to hit touchbacks back then. But then because of the injuries and the head injury, they went back to the 35, and then the guys now are getting stronger. The balls are broken in. So I don't like the way it looks. I think it looks very
it does look weird, right?
Yeah, it looks very cartoonish, like video game. Like it doesn't look real. But I do, as a kicker, like it for the kickers just to preserve their legs because they're not out there blasting kickoffs all day. So I like it as a kicker. I don't like it as a fan, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, no doubt about it. I was thinking about you the other day because my Manchester United Red Devils were trying to look at Emi Martinez, your Argentinian hero over there in between the pipe. They're not going to go. I'm like, dang, man, we need him, man. We need somebody.
I thought it was a done deal. I read that it was a done deal, and all of a sudden it like fell through. I'm like, what happened? Because I would have loved to see him there. I mean, he has the personality, he has the character, he has that backbone to be able to perform at Manchester United. Because it's like those top clubs. You could be a great player somewhere else, but if you don't have that mental strength, you're not going to survive. And I feel like he had the mental strength to survive there and excel there. I mean, he did it for the national team, but yeah, I'm sad that he didn't go there. I would have loved to see him there.
Yeah, and people don't realize that, like, doing that is like you're goalie for Manchester United. That's like quarterback for the Cowboys and shortstop for the Yankees. Like, you got to be like Peter Schmeichel and some of these guys over the years where, I mean, and Emmy's proved it. I mean, he's been great at Aston Villa, but of course, when you're making big saves in the World Cup final, you know, for Argentina, like those are kind of things that live with you forever. I mean, with Messi, how excited are you for the World Cup next year? I mean, it's going to be here in North America. I mean, I think this is like one of those legacy defining like World Cups, because you look at the top guys, right? Like, could this be the year that England finally wins it after all these years? Does France come back? Does Argentina win it again? What happens with Portugal? Because they just had a fantastic performance. You know, this is probably the last World Cup we're going to see Messi and Ronaldo win. I mean, this could be one of the greatest World Cups of our lifetime for sure.
I'm pretty sure it's more than probably those two. I mean,
no, you never know, Martin. They could be playing till they're 50, man. They're still balling up.
I know.
Right.
I'm sure they could still perform at 50, but yeah. No, I think it's wide open because the parity in world soccer now, it's incredible. You know, you can see small countries beating big time teams that in the past they would have never been able to be. So yeah, the parity is wide open. But you also have the elites of the elite. You know, obviously, like you said, France, maybe come Portugal. You know, Germany's coming back a little bit. They struggle a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, you know, with Messi, they didn't officially announce it, but I pretty much think he's playing the World Cup, and I think that the MLS fits him well to stay fit and also not overloaded for the World Cup. So I think Argentina's got a great chance with that group, because you have pretty much the same group coming back and just replacing a few players.
Yeah, and you got guys that really perform seemingly like Lautaro Martinez does a good job for Inter Milan, but he's even for Argentina. I mean, he's climbing the ranks, man. It's amazing how many times he scores, and Alexis McAllister there.
Right.
And then, of course, Emmy between the sticks, too. I want to ask you before I let you go, who would be on your top list, your top 50 Buccaneers list? Who would be at the top? Maybe top 1, top 2, top 3? Who would you have?
Why you put me on the spot, man?
I had to. That's why I said give me the top 3. You don't have to put them in order. I don't want to give you one, so I'll give you.
Okay, if we're going top 3,
yeah,
man. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple more because
Okay, that's fine.
it's hard to say three, but I know you have to have Derek Brooks,
Right.
Sapp, Leroy Selman. You have Allstott, Lynch. I mean, how do you not Mike Evans now? So how
Right.
do you?
You're right.
I mean, we have such great players that how do you make a top three? I think we should put like all these guys at number one, and then everybody else falls behind them. Because there's so many top number ones that we could add.
I love it. What was your interactions with Leroy Selman like? How many times did you get a chance to chat with him over the years?
I did. I got a chance to meet him, especially when he was the AD at USF. Just an incredible man. I'm so happy that they're honoring him at USF the way they are. Where
Yeah.
one D lineman is going to wear his jersey every year. I just saw his son. I went to the luncheon. I surprised
Oh,
Nico.
nice.
I got invited to go to there by my son, who's a
Mhm.
alum there, and then they set us with Nico. I said, I want to meet another player. I already know this kid, but I saw Leroy Simmons' wife and then
Oh, great.
his son there, and they were so excited. So that to me, it shows you like the type of guy that Golish is to even consider and think about doing something like this, but also what it means to the family. They were so thrilled to be there and that they were going to recognize, Leroy. I mean, it's and he's the man that everybody remembers as probably one of the greatest humans you'll ever meet. Kind of like when you meet Tony Dungy,
Yep.
you walk away thinking, okay, this guy's even better than what I thought he was. Well, with Leroy was the same way.
Yeah, I remember Ian and I were hosting one time and we interviewed Tony Dungy and he walked out and we were just kind of like smiling for no reason. Our posture was like perfect. And we're like, damn, man, Tony Dungy's got like that aura about him. Before
Yeah.
we go, tell us about Clearview, how everything's going up there with the villages and how people can, undergo one of these tests that can save their lives.
Oh, thank you for asking that. But yeah, we actually opened last Monday, so this is our second week open.
Nice.
We're super excited. They can reach out to me on Instagram, Martin Gramatica 7 on Instagram, or they can call the office, which is really easy number. It's 352-714-SCAN. And call in. We're offering free heart scans. So if anybody wants to come in for a free heart scan and then to learn more about what we do, but it's been really nice. One of the things I can say about the village is like their marketing people, their newspaper, TV, radio. They've been phenomenal to work with. We're really excited to be here, and stay tuned because we are going to open more facilities. We're looking at Sarasota, we're looking at Tampa, we're looking at other facilities. So it's not going to be just the villages. So we're excited to expand too. So be ready for us in Tampa soon.
And definitely we'll have you on and we'll talk about it and we'll promote it to the high heavens. That is for sure. He is Tampa Bay Buccaneers legend Martin Gramatica, one of the top 50 Buccaneers of all time. Martin, I appreciate you, my brother. And I'll see you tomorrow night at Ray J.
Yes, sir. I'll swing by for a little bit and I got to go to the booth.
We'll try to stay away from Ira Kaufman. We'll do what we can.
Oh, man. Poor Ira.
We love Ira.
Ira's the best.
All right, man. Pal. Thanks, Martin.
Have a good weekend. Talk to you
too,
soon.
Pal. Stay, buddy. The greatest, man. I love Martin Gramatica. He's the man. Again, go check him out, Clearview Imaging. I was just looking at the website before we had him on, clearviewimaging.com. Go check it out. Free heart scan, man. Go check it out. You never know. This is one life that you have. Make sure you go up there and check it out. Really, really good stuff. Also, really, really good stuff for our friends at The Honest Hammer. Website, thehonesthammer.com. Let's go check out the website like we do every day. We got to, if this is the first time you've seen it, I mean, my goodness. And all my people out there that are watching every day, right? You may not be in need, right, of some commercial stuff done, some residential stuff done, but to help us out here on the Jay Recher podcast, keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. You know somebody that's looking for some custom building. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, 813-244-0956. They'll be able to help you out today. Give them a call. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Get you a discount today. Licensed and insured Florida General Contractor, CGC 153-1166. Just tell them again, you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. TheHonestHammer@gmail.com, TheHonestHammer.com. Interior renovations, kitchen, bathroom renovations. They've got you covered. New custom homes. I was looking at some of the pictures and videos the other day, crushing it. Bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, new and commercial construction, interior and structural renovations. And again, these are the kind of businesses here in the Tampa Bay area that you want to work with, right? These are great people. My guy Russ and the team over there, they're unbelievable, man. They're unbelievable. So 813-244-0956. Tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. These are the kind of businesses that you want to help out. A big-time sports fan just like you, 813-244-0956. Russ, I'm thinking about doing this. Can you help me out? Heck yeah, he's going to help out all of our people here on the Jay Recher podcast. Look at Jeff Taylor, $5 with the super chat. And again, thank you to Lady Evil and David Terry. Every single super chat helps, guys. We always get you right here on the program. That's how we're going to keep this thing rolling. Swing by lot 12. Sorry, man. I can't really go out anywhere. I can't stray away. Where we park and then where we walk to, and me wearing a freaking full suit, I can never like leave my path. Because once I leave my path, I start sweating my ass off. And then I have to walk all the way back. It is terrible. It is awful. So I appreciate all of the invites, but I can't make it. One of these days I will, maybe if I go watch the game, but you know me, I'm always working. Bucks PR staff are hitting a home run with their top 50 list. You got that right, Greg. You got that right. Thank you, Jeff Taylor. Gotta show love, buddy. Ali Marpet looks like a lightweight fighter, not a heavyweight anymore. You got that right, man. You got that right. He's the man. Another great guy. Offensive linemen really are. They really are just some of the best guys to be able to listen to and to be able to talk to. It's unbelievable. The Rays sent a box to John Gruden. Should have kept some for themselves there, buddy. I want to talk a little Rowdies real quick. Hold on, guys. Just want to put something out for the Rowdies real fast. Some changes when it comes to the Rowdies. In goal. We were just talking about the goal. We were just talking about Manchester United, and they definitely need a new goalie, new goaltender. We'll talk about that. Carlos is here. Give you a second on that, Carlos. Nathan, you drive to lot 12, tell 717 Park and Tents you were there to see the Muffin Man. Let you in and visit us, and you could drive to the stadium. Bro, I can't. Game days are just too busy for me, bro. I appreciate it, but it's a lot. It is a lot. Yeah, again, guys, make sure you're following me on all social media accounts: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. We got to keep this train going. Monday show, of course, we'll have 12:30. Ian Beckles will join us on the pod, as he always does. I'm going to text him, make sure that he watches the freaking game. You know what's funny? You say that to see the Muffin Man. You guys ever used to do prank phone calls back in the day? We used to do prank phone calls, be like, "Hi, is the Muffin Man there?" We would call muffin shops. Well, we'd call bakeries on Long Island, and we'd be like, "Hi, do you guys? Is the Muffin Man there? Do you guys sell blueberry muffins?" And then we were like, "Is the Muffin Man there?" And they'd be like, "Hold on," and then and then we're like, "Hold on." They put us on hold. Come back. "This is the Muffin Man." We like, and we'd hang up. And we were like 12, 13, 14. We were bored. This is what kids do. Then we would call bike shops, and we would say, "Do you guys sell 2-seater bicycles? It's for me and my friend Jan. We're looking for 2-seater bicycles." And they say, "We have 2-seater bicycles." Then we say, "Do you have them in blue? Do you have them in green? Do you have them in red? Do you have them in teal?" And we were bored. And then we would record them, and we would pretend that we were at McDonald's, and we would do different voices like, "Mike Tyson, I want to make double and some fries." And it's just, we had so much fun doing prank calls. That's 30 years ago, but it was a lot of fun. Yes, the John Cena prank radio. Speaking of John Cena, has anybody ever seen Peacemaker? Peacemaker is the show with John Cena, HBO Max. I've heard about it for so long. I've never watched Peacemaker with John Cena. And last night, my roommate was looking for something to watch, and she just stumbled on Peacemaker and put it on. And I looked up, and I was like, and I was doing some work in the other room, and I'm like, "What are you watching?" And she was like, "Peacemaker." And I was like, "That's with John Cena." And it was like 3 minutes into it. I was like, "Can you rewind that?" She rewound it. I watched 4 episodes last night. I'm on episode 5. It is crazy. John Cena. Listen, John Cena shouldn't be worried about being a baby face or a heel. Like, the shit that he says and does in Peacemaker, wow. And it's like the perfect role for John Cena. Like this meathead, making fun of people, talking shit. Like, it is hilarious, man. Hilarious. It was so funny that I even texted Pat Donovan today and was like, you need to watch Peacemaker with your wife because it's a little gory. There's action to it. And he goes, it's funny that you texted me that because me and my wife just watched a trailer on Peacemaker and I think we're going to watch it. I'm like, dude, this is right up your alley. So if you listen, I don't really commit myself to TV shows. It's hard for me to really get in the groove. I got to like it and then I stick to it. Right now, like I watch Jeopardy. That doesn't really count. Wrestling doesn't really count. I'm watching King's Court with Titus O'Neil and I watch LFG, WWE LFG. I like that show. But yeah, Peacemaker. I'm a big fan. Dolan. I used to call bowling alleys and ask if the person had 16 pound balls. And of course they would say yes. And then I would say, well, how do you walk? Dolan. You know what we should do? We should call UPS and ask for Dolan at 5:30 in the morning and be like, hi, is the number one Taylor Swift fan Dolan? Is the number one Taylor Swift fan Dolan there? That would be so funny. If Pat watches it, I'll have to check it out. Come on, Greg. My endorsement isn't good enough. I never watched Dexter, but I heard is really, really good. All right, real quick. I want to talk about what happened and what to watch this weekend. Okay. Plenty to watch this weekend. The Commanders are trading, breaking news, Commanders are trading Brian Robinson to the 49ers. So he's going to back up Christian McCaffrey there. All right. So what to watch this weekend? A lot to watch. But first I want to talk about the Rowdies making some moves. Goalies in, goalies out. Campese's out. New goalie Bill Hamid is in, which I think when you look at it, Campese was a guy early on in the season where I was watching and I just wasn't too, impressed from what I saw. Listen, I'm not hating. Okay. But Nico Campese today, they reached an agreement to transfer him to Miami FC. And I was excited because I heard a lot of good things going into the season, but watching him just wasn't doing the job, just wasn't making some stops that I think myself and a lot of people that follow the Rowdies, I just didn't think he was doing the job. Just it is what it is, not personal. You bring in Bill Hamid, all right? You're bringing in this guy and a little background on Bill. Veteran goalkeeper via transfer from Miami FC, so it's almost kind of like a trade. Kind of 5 shutouts in 21 appearances across all competitions from Miami since joining the club in February. Now in his 17th season as a professional, he offers a wealth of experience from his time in MLS, the U.S. men's national team. Dominic Casiato says, we felt this was an area of the field where we needed to strengthen things up, and this move does that. Bill is experienced, and he has a lot of quality. He's been doing well at Miami this season, so we're happy to bring him in, and I definitely think he makes us better. The 34-year-old started his career with DC United in 2009 as the first academy player to sign a professional contract with the MLS club, MLS goalkeeper of the year in 2014. And there you go. International debut for the U.S. in 2012. And according to the Rowdies, they want to win now, and they're making the necessary changes to give the club the best chance to win and continue their high standards of success on the pitch. Their goal is to make another deep playoff run and win trophies, and they do believe that bringing in a goalkeeper with Bill's experience, quality, and leadership will make an impact and will play a key role in helping them achieve their goals. That is directly from the Rowdies, and you're only going to hear it right here on the Recher podcast. So I like it. I don't want to say drastic moves, but I like when you know what you want, you got to make a move, and right now's the time. A draw last week, getting 1 point. Got to be able to bounce back, and we got to be able to win some games. You're looking at, you're still sitting in last in the Eastern Conference, but you're only 3 points out of a playoff spot. You win this game on Saturday night against Detroit City FC, and you're right there, and you're tied with Rhode Island because you've got a game in hand. Now they had 2 games in hand, but now just 1. Everybody in the Eastern Conference has either played 19 or 20 games, but if this Rowdies team can go on a run and Dominic Casiato can find that right mix of the starters and who's coming off the bench. And we saw last week to be able to have Arteaga and Leo Fernandez coming off the bench. Like, I don't know who's got that kind of firepower coming off the bench. So I'm pulling for him, of course, but we're looking at our Rowdies. They got to start winning matches, and it starts Saturday against Detroit City FC, and we'll be cheering them on. Again, all information, rowdysoccer.com. So that's certainly something to be able to keep an eye on. Just like Carlos said, got to string together a couple of wins. Camp again, it certainly will at some point. They love having this be an option for some of our fight nights. Jerry Jones should make all Bucs fans thankful for our ownership with a clown show. Yes, with the whole thing with Micah Parsons and even the new documentary on Netflix. You know what I didn't need? You know what I wasn't asking for, and I don't know if anybody was Netflix special on the greatness of the Cowboys in the 90s. I don't care. Nobody cares except Cowboy fans. Like, how long are you going to possibly I just don't get it. You got to keep hanging on and hanging on and hanging on. Like, stop. We don't want to hear about the Cowboys in the 90s anymore. They haven't done anything. Every single year, it's Dak this and Dak that. Like, my God, who cares about the Cowboys? They're not contenders. Stop talking about them. I know there's still a very popular team, quote unquote America's team, but you're making me turn the channel when you're talking about the Cowboys. It's not like the Lakers, where at least the Lakers have won a championship in the last couple of years and they make the playoffs and they have good players. Like Dallas, it's like, stop, please stop, please stop, please stop. All right. What to watch this weekend? A lot of people ask me all the time, Jay, what do you watch? What are we watching this weekend? This is a huge weekend. Week 0, college football. Keep an eye on that Idaho State UNLV game. UNLV, right? You're looking at a 26.5 point favorite, but the line is 65.5. You want to talk about numbers? You're going to see numbers in that game. Hawaii and Stanford, Sam Houston and Western Kentucky from Bowling Green, and then Fresno State and Kansas. But the big time matchup is Iowa State and Kansas State. High noon, ESPN, Dublin, Ireland. Get there, baby, and watch that game. And, of course, we're going to be cheering on our guy, Rocco Becht. So excited to be able to watch Farmageddon between these two Big 12 teams. And right off the rip, I mean, this could have major Big 12 complications. Number 17, Kansas State. Number 22, Iowa State. Rocco's been really good for Matt Campbell over the last couple of years. And it's weird to kind of see both of these coaches, right? When you look at Chris Kleiman and also with Matt Campbell, very similar guys, Midwest dudes. You look at what they've been able to do with these programs. And, Iowa State did lose some of their receivers to the NFL, a couple of day true draft picks. And what Rocco is going to be able to have to do with this offense. And don't forget, for as much as we talk about what Rocco's been able to do, don't forget about Carson Hansen. 13 touchdowns on the ground last year. So he's a guy that's going to be able to help in the running game. Chase Soule comes across from East Carolina. We saw him, obviously in the American last year. Kansas State, with the veterans that they have, led by Avery Johnson. I know a lot of people are looking at this game and thinking, all right, Kansas State with the experience, there's something about it, and I'm not being biased, even though Kansas State's a 3-point favorite. I like Iowa State in this game. I do. And as much as I like Coach K, I think when you look at Coach Campbell, I think he's got the edge. So I'm going to go with the Cyclones in this one. So keep an eye on that game. Week 0, and then the first game in quote-unquote week 1, Boise State in South Florida next Thursday at 5:30 from Raymond James Stadium. Cannot wait for that. Baseball, there is a lot of it's almost like a rivalry weekend in baseball. It's very strange. They didn't name it that, but you look at some of the games, just even tonight. You have the Red Sox in the Bronx to take on the Yankees at 7:05. Brian Bayo and Max Fried on the mound there. Then you go to the Mets in Atlanta to take on the Braves. McLean and Wentz, your starters in that one. Then a little bit farther down, and you see that you have the Dodgers in San Diego to take on the Padres, with Blake Snell and Yu Darvish, the starters in that one. So that's going to be awesome. That is going to be really freaking cool. Those are 3 big-time matchups, and we'll see. Could be some, foreshadowing when it comes to the postseason for those matchups. Golf. The Tour Championship underway right now. And who's sniffing around the leaderboard? Of course, Scotty Scheffler. But he is 3 shots back as we speak right now. Round 2 in progress. Tommy Fleetwood is at 11 under. He's 5 under on the day through 14. Then you have Cam Young, Russell Henley, Robert McIntyre, who had an incredible week last week before Scotty Scheffler was able to sneak up on him and come away with the victory. Colin Morikawa, Akshay Bhatia, Shane Lowry, Justin Thomas among those at 7 under. So something to keep an eye on as we get closer and closer to the end of the season when it comes to golf. Again, the Tour Championship underway right now. And we're not even done with the second round. Tommy Fleetwood's already 11 under. Those scores are going to be crazy this weekend. Soccer. Where are we looking at for soccer? It starts today, 3 o'clock. West Ham United and Chelsea, a London matchup. Chelsea doesn't have to go far for that one. Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig from the Alliance Arena there in Munich. Paris Saint-Germain at 2:45. And then you look this weekend. Saturday, the big matchup is between Man City and Tottenham Hotspur, both winners in week 1 of the Premier League. Man City, Tijani Reinders, their guy that they picked up in the offseason, the midfielder, has been fantastic for them. And Hotspur with new coach Thomas Frank, who came across from Brentford after they fired Ange Postecoglou. Got to keep an eye on those guys. No other really big-time matchups on Saturday. I'm looking. Other than our guys, of course, I just said it before, the Tampa Bay Rowdies in Detroit to take on Detroit City FC. They need 3 points in that one. And then Sunday, what do we see from Manchester United in their second game as they travel to Craven Cottage in London to take on Fulham? Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest from Selhurst Park should be a tasty matchup there as well. Juventus Sunday 2:45 against Parma. All right, last 2 things. The UFC Fight Night. Greg DeCruz asked a little while ago, prelims start at 3 a.m. 6 a.m. is when the main card starts. So when you look at that card, I'll tell you obviously the main event with Johnny Walker and Zhang Min Yang. But what happens at that catchweight bout, the co-main event, I think should be, obviously a Chinese fighter was in the main event, but this really is like probably the fight with the 2 most talented guys, the former champ Aljamain Sterling against Brian Ortega at a catchweight because Ortega could not make weight. He looked terrible. So we'll see if that affects him. Another fight that's on the prelims to keep an eye on, Michel Pereira and Kyle Daukaus, and then a lot of Chinese fighters on this card. A lot of one-name fighters. It's kind of funny there. And then finally, AEW Forbidden Door, joint together with New Japan Pro Wrestling 2025 Sunday. It starts at 6 p.m., 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. BST, 1 p.m. Eastern. Looking at the top of the card, Hangman Adam Page against defends his AEW World Championship against Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I thought the go home show was awful. They threatened to light this dude on fire. Briscoe. But you have this whole thing where Hangman Adam Page goaded MJF into using his contract to win the championship. And now because he threatened to light this guy on fire, then now it doesn't matter. That's weird. Zack Sabre Jr. defends his IWGP World Heavyweight Champion against Nigel McGuinness, which is very interesting because Nigel's really not a full-time performer, and Zack Sabre is the heavyweight champion in Japan. A 10-man lights-out steel cage match with some huge names in that one. It'll be the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Will Ospreay, and Hiroshi Tanahashi against Jon Moxley and Collier Castagnoli, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks. Also, you'll see Mercedes Moné in a 4-way for the TBS Championship. The Hurt Syndicate against FTR and Brodito. I think what could be the best match on the card, Okada versus Swerve Strickland for the Unified Championship, and then Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. You know him as Edge and Christian teaming up for the first time in over a decade against Kip Sabian and Killswitch of the Patriarchy. So a lot of good matches there. It's going to be a long night of wrestling there for All Elite Wrestling, AEW. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. It's a Friday, so we're not going on too long. We're just kind of chilling, doing our thing today. And again, I mentioned before, Orioles and top prospect Samuel Basallo on an 8-year extension. The young kid just got called up, and he's getting paid from Baltimore. What does that mean for Adley Rutschman? I don't know, but Baltimore, bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. They let Kyle Stowers go out of all people, and look at what he did this year. An all-star season for the Miami Marlins. I know he's banged up now, but wow, just wow. All right, guys, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you go check out our guys. Edge, Carlos, it threw me off. Edge and Christian being together again is electric. Yes, and I like that Christian is still kind of playing a heel role, which is great. Hangman and MJF have such contrasting personalities. All they need to do is give him Michael and draw. Instead, they try to light a guy on fire. Yeah, and to be honest with you, Adam, I think MJF is the most overrated wrestler in the last decade of wrestling. I don't see it. I think he can only cut a good promo when he curses, and I don't think he's that great in the ring. I think his spray tan is terrible. I think he's a smaller guy, so he's not somebody that you look at and say, wow. I think they gave that guy everything possible, and he got carried through every single big-time match he's ever been in. And I think he's the whole thing of, the war of 24 and where's he going to go? Like, and he bet on himself to stay in AEW, and now he's like wrestling. I don't know. I think MJF is one of the most overrated wrestlers, and I know I'm in the minority when I say that. I don't see it. I don't see his in-ring ability. I don't think that he is a guy that deserves all the accolades. And if he was that good, I think he should have went into the deep waters of WWE and see if you can really be a sports entertainer, because I think he's just as focused as being. It's one thing if he was a guy that just crushed it in the ring. If he was a Zack Sabre, if he was a Will Ospreay, and he wants to wrestle in AEW and be his guy, and you want to wrestle where the best wrestle, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think there's phenomenal wrestlers in AEW. So if you stay there like Will Ospreay did, hey, man, that's your prerogative. But to me, he's a sports entertainer just as much as he is a pro wrestler. So his mic skills are the best thing that he does. I just still think that would he be able to be as good like in a PG era? I don't agree with that. I think he's got pushed to the moon, and I don't really think he's made the most of his opportunities. I know I'm in the minority, Carlos. I apologize to you because I know you're a dedicated viewer, and I know he's your AEW GOAT. We'll just have to agree to disagree, buddy. I'm not hating. It's just my opinion. He's from Plainview, too, on Long Island, and we used to beat kids up from Plainview. Nassau County sucks. Suffolk County all the way. I love you, Carlos. I appreciate you, buddy, and appreciate how big of a Rowdies fan you are. Lady Evil, David Terry, Jeff Taylor, you guys are the best. Again, check out my guys over at Honest Hammer Custom Builders. Really good stuff. Next week, Beckles and Recher podcast on Wednesday. He joins us at 12:30. Got some great announcements coming up with the show. Jeff Taylor, I'm working on the t-shirts. We got another meeting later on tonight. I love you all. No shade for Hangman, though. We can talk wrestling all freaking day, but I'll answer this question before I go. No shade for Hangman, though. No, because I like the versatility. I like that he was a little goofy with the Dark Order stuff. I like the seriousness with the Swerve Strickland stuff. That was not. I want to talk about lighting shit on fire. They lit a whole freaking house on fire. That, that goes back to like the Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton thing from years ago. I like that. I like that kind of stuff. And I think Hangman had to go all the way. He had to go all the way. Seriousness, no nonsense, a throwback type character when it, here's the thing with Hangman. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but I think he's athletic for his size and also strong for his size, right? You look at him, you look at Claudio Castagnoli, right? Claudio's so freaking strong. And I love guys that, John Cena looks strong and is strong, right? Claudio kind of looks strong and is strong. I don't know if Hangman looks strong, but he is strong. Seth Rollins is another great example. Doesn't necessarily look strong. He's that CrossFit, but he's strong. You see him lift up these people. What pisses me off is you see these big, jacked up dudes like Brian Cage. Brian Cage is one of those guys. He's huge. Look at those muscles. And it looks like he struggles picking people up. Karrion Kross. I know he's hot now and everybody loves him because of all the promos, but part of the reason why people don't necessarily jive with Karrion Kross is he's kind of a bigger dude and he looks like he struggles picking people up. You can't do that. You're wrestling. You're supposed to be these larger than life characters. And if you're like, ugh, and you look like you're struggling carrying bags up the stairs from Publix, like, I don't want to see you like that. I mean, nobody's watching Rey Mysterio picking people up, but that's not what he does. Right? But if you're jacked up and you are juiced to the gills and you have trouble picking up guys that are 200 pounds, sorry, man, you lose all the allure, all the mystique. I don't want to see that. So there you go. Skipping leg day. You can't do it. That is for sure. We should have like open-ended wrestling question day on Friday afternoon. Adam and Carlos, you guys will be the first 2 guys on the list. All right, I got to roll. I got some things to do. A really great show. A big thank you to Martin Gramatica and everybody that joined us on the program this week. I love you all. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great, happy, healthy weekend, and we'll see you on Monday right here on the Jay Recher podcast. I am gone. Peace out.